Hello, BookTube. This is Weekly Reads. This has been a very stressful week. My mother had to go into the hospital on Tuesday, and she remained in the hospital until late this morning. So she was released on Saturday. I spent a considerable amount of time with her in the hospital. Um, I spent several hours on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, and spent um, Friday night at the hospital and was with her when she was released. So she is now back home, and she is doing very good. Um, so hopefully her recovery continues, and she doesn't have to go back to the hospital for a very long time. Now, being in the hospital is never fun, whether for the patient or for family. The one bright side about spending so much time in the hospital is that I got a lot of reading done. This reading week has been quite contentious without having to spend so much time in the hospital. I have a lot of bells this week and a few books that I actually managed to finish. So my plan for this reading week was to get started on Shorty September, a booktube event in which participants read short books over the course of the month of September. Every year, the creators of Shorty September release the year's prompts in a really cool way. Last year, it was in the form of a zine. This year, it's tarot cards. So a lot of the books that I had initially planned on reading this week were for Shorty September. It didn't quite, well, it did not work out how I wanted it to work out at all. So let's get going, starting with the first Bale, which was an attempted reread of Evil Under the Sun by Agatha Christie. Evil Under the Sun is one of those Hercule Poirot novels in which Poirot attempts to go on vacation. However, being Hercule Poirot, the man cannot get a vacation. In this case, Poirot is vacationing at a resort on the southern English coast. Amongst the colorful cast of characters joining him at this resort is a young former actress named Arlena Marshall, who is married to the rather taciturn Kenneth Marshall. Arlena has a wandering eye, and her eye has fallen on the handsome young married man, Patrick Redfern, and they are carrying on a rather obvious affair, or at least flirtation. It's a scandal amongst the guests, and it surprises no one that Arlena is found murdered. And Poirot is called upon to figure out who the murderer is and what other secrets the guests are hiding. As I mentioned, this is an attempted reread. Now, I've mentioned a few times over the last few weeks that for the past 2 years or so, I haven't really gotten on with Agatha Christie. I think 2 years ago, I attempted to reread, after about 20 years, or longer than 20 years, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, and it just did not work for me at all. I took a break from Agatha Christie and attempted to reread Death on the Nile, which is one of my favorite Poirot mysteries. It didn't work out either. And so I gave it some more time and was hoping that maybe Evil Under the Sun would work. And it didn't. Now, the thing with Agatha Christie is when she works for me, three things happen. One is that the setting, the sort of sort of becomes what you wish it were in reality. 2, the mystery as an ingenious puzzle. And 3, that the colorful cast of characters are just really awesome, and you really feel for them and are engaged with them. And also that the matchmaking that goes on. Very often in an Agatha Christie novel, the major subplots feature the red herring characters or assistants pairing up romantically. And when Agatha Christie doesn't work, it just feels artificial. Just like, I mean, Steve Donahue a few years ago in reading The Body on the Library called it reptilian. And there's that sense of reptilianness, or just something not quite right. In this instance, I immediately felt something off when I read the opening scene, where a number of guests are sunbathing, while the older guests, including Poirot, are basically making snide comments about them. And it's just, ew. So I decided to bail on Evil Under the Sun. So Evil Under the Sun was for the Ripped Shorts prompt. I was also going to use the half and half shorts and read the 1982 adaptation starring Peter Ustinov, Maggie Smith, and Diana Rigg. Unfortunately, I was going to watch it through Amazon Prime. And the day before, or that Friday, I was going to watch Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets on Amazon Prime, and the first thing I saw was not a rendition of Captain Billy or Captain Tom. Instead, it was an ad. And if I wanted to watch a movie on Amazon Prime without ads, I'd have to fork over $2.99 more cents a month, even though I pay almost $150 a year for Amazon Prime. I was infuriated. So, nope. I'm just over here. So after I bailed on Evil Under the Sun, I read the poetry collection for the Taylor Swift shorts prompt. And in this case, I selected Glitter Road by January Gill O'Neill. This is a fabulous collection of poems. I really enjoyed them, particularly the ones that are centered around grappling with the murder of Emmett Till. Those were phenomenal, as well as the poems dealing with mixed race. Those were fascinating as well. So, highly recommend this collection. It is really good and also quite pretty. So I'm definitely going to be looking for more work by January Gill O'Neill. Let's put her over here. The bailing recommenced with my selections for the 19 for the shorts prompt, or the jean shorts, which was read something from the 70s or 80s, and so I decided to attempt a double bail redemption. So I attempted to read Cathedral by Raymond Carver and The Life and Times of Michael K. by J.M. Coetzee a few years ago for a reading event or challenge in which participants read books or novels or fiction or whatever published in the year of their birth. I selected 4 books. All of them I bailed on. One of them has since left my collection, and the remaining 3, including these 2, are going to be meeting the donation box of doom. So let's start with Cathedral by Raymond Carver. So this is a collection of short stories that did not work on me at all. I don't like Carver's writing style. I don't like his characters. I don't like his anything. Just no. And so The Life and Times of Michael K is about a man named Michael K who is trying to escape Cape Town to the South African countryside during an apocalyptic civil war in which the South African government, the apartheid government, is fighting against African rebels who are seeking to overthrow the government. And Michael K goes on a weird journey. And I don't like it. It just doesn't work for me. So I bailed. So I started What I'd Rather Not Think About by Jente Posthuma, translated from the Dutch by Sarah Timmer Harvey, while Mom was in the hospital. I started it that Tuesday and finished it on Wednesday. And I actually finished it. So What I'd Rather Not Think About is about two twins, fraternal twins. One is a male, the other is female. They are never named. The male twin committed suicide, and the surviving female twin is trying to come to terms with that death, and also her relationship with her brother. I think I finished the book largely because the story is broken up into rather short, punchy chapters that don't bog down the reading experience. This book is okay. It is certainly lacking emotion. I never once believed for a moment that there is any emotion from either twin. It's just it's dulled. So yeah. Also on Wednesday, I attempted to read Telephone by Percival Everett. Telephone is about a geologist and paleobiologist who decides he wants to cosplay as Liam Neeson in one of his movies. I have struggled to get into Percival Everett's work. I have 3 of his novels, including Telephone, and none of them have worked for me. So what I read of Telephone is broken down into bits. One is kind of describing some fossils that were discovered in a cave that the main character is an expert in. The other part is his teaching life. And the third is one of the inciting events in the book in which his daughter has developed some kind of vision problem. And this leads, because a plot needs it to, the breakdown of his relationship to his wife and daughter. And it is So the daughter, Sarah, begins to experience vision loss. And she's taken to an optometrist who can't figure out what's wrong, what the problem is. Like there's something obviously wrong, but she doesn't know what it is. So then she's taken to the primary, who would then pretty much equate something's wrong. It's not in my wheelhouse. She needs an expert, so go to an ophthalmologist who would be able to figure out what it is. Well, the primary care physician is a young woman, and Meg, the main character's wife, doesn't like her. And once they leave the office, it's like just what is that? It just that scene makes no sense at all. Of except for to kind of sow the seeds for guess the fact that the narrator runs off to try to be Liam Neeson. I don't remember what the movie is, so I think I'm done with Percival Everett. Which leads me to Catherin de Medici, The Life and Times of the Serpent Queen by Mary Hollingsworth. I started this on Thursday, read it through Friday, and finished it early this afternoon. Both while Mom was still in the hospital and shortly after we returned home. And I enjoyed this biography. It is really good. So Hollingsworth's sort of premise in the book, her goal in the book, is to argue that Catherine de' Medici, who was a queen of France and as the consort to Henry II, as well as the queen mother to the subsequent final kings in the Valois dynasty, Francis II, Charles IX, and Henry III, that she is not the Serpent Queen. That, in fact, it is Catherine who instituted the French Renaissance. She was intimately involved in the cultural productions of her day. She tried everything she could to maintain the peace of France, to broker a compromise between the increasingly fanatical Catholic League and some of the Protestants, and she tried to keep France from falling apart, which, while as she died, seemed like she had failed, ultimately succeeded. So this is an amazing biography. I really enjoyed it. Quite happy to add it to my collection. So yeah. So my reading week definitely ended on a very high note with Catherine de' Medici. Oh wait, I'll keep this out because I do need to add it to my read list. So what will I be reading tomorrow and over the next reading week? So I think I'm going to stick with history, and I'm going to read Vertigo, The Rise and Fall of Weimar Germany by Harald Jahner, translated from the German by Shaun Whiteside. So this is a history of Weimar Germany, which existed from the end of World War I to the election of Adolf Hitler in 1933. I am also hoping to read Conan the Invincible by Robert Jordan for Sumerian September. which is a booktube event created by Michael K. Vaughan, in which participants read Conan the Barbarian, either the original stories by Robert E. Howard or the various pastiches. And if I have the opportunity or time, Family Dancing, by David Leavitt, which is a collection of short stories. And if that doesn't quite work out, then I'll figure something out. But until then, BookTube, that's all I have for this week. I will be back next week with some book hauls because I have volume 11 of Yu Yu Hakusho coming in. Also, I do want to comment on the shortlist for the 2024 Kindle Prize and a few other things. So until I see you next week, thank you, BookTube. Have a great rest of your evening and what's left of your weekend, and I will see you on Monday. So until then, thank you and stay safe.